Justin Drake discusses EIP-1559 and the future of Ethereum. One of Ethereum's leading experts outlines how the EIP-1559 fee-burning plan could affect the blockchain in the next years. Justin Drake discusses Ethereum's EIP-1559 update, which will be released as part of the London hard fork. For Ethereum, 2017 will be remembered as a watershed year. Ethereum is undergoing significant changes. In the previous year, the price of ETH has climbed 600%, briefly breaking beyond $4,000 during the crypto market's largest gain to date. Institutional institutions like Goldman Sachs are now launching ETH products, indicating that the asset is starting to garner mainstream attention. Aside from market fluctuations, the smart contract blockchain is undergoing numerous key improvements. The Beacon chain was launched in December 2020, kicking off the Ethereum 2.0 upgrade process, also known as Serenity. Over 6.5 million ETH has been deposited to the staking contract ahead of the merge, indicating that Ethereum will dock to the Beacon chain as part of a shift to proof of stake early next year. Several potential Layer 2 solutions are set to launch this summer, making DeFi apps like Uniswap and Synthetix more accessible to retail customers. Ethereum is also nearing block 12,965,000, which is significant because it is the block number at which the London hard fork will be implemented. It's slated to arrive on August 5, according to current projections. Several protocol enhancements, known as Ethereum improvement proposals, will be introduced in London, but one in particular will have a significant influence on the network. EIP-1559, widely known as Ethereum's fee-burning proposal, was confirmed earlier this year after years of discussion in the Ethereum community. Vitalik Buterin also shared ideas hinting at the update on the Ethereum blog as early as 2016. Justin Drake, a cryptography researcher at the Ethereum Foundation, has been one of EIP-1559's most vocal proponents. Drake coined the term ultrasound money for ETH, based on the premise that the asset may become deflationary over time, and his insights into the subject have helped spread the word about the asset's scarcity engine. Drake spoke with Crypto Briefing before of the London hard fork, and he explained why EIP-1559 will have a significant impact on Ethereum's future. EIP-1559's advantages. When the network is congested, EIP-1559 sets a base cost for transactions to be included in a block and allows the block size to double to a maximum of 25 million transactions. The base charge fluctuates with network congestion, and the most of it is burnt on each transaction. According to Drake, the plan has significant advantages in 3 areas. EIP-1559 is a powerhouse. Despite the relatively little consensus-level change, it has far-reaching ramifications for user experience, security, and economics, he explains. It took a long time for me to comprehend how effective EIP-1559 is. It's incredible, there doesn't appear to be any big trade-off. It's a step forwards. The first enhancement is in the area of user experience. Users must now submit a bid to miners, which can result in overpaying or extended wait times if the cost is too low. Meanwhile, the increased block size means that at peak congestion, the line to get in will be shorter. EIP-1559 also includes some less obvious security advantages. Because it can help oracles process gas refunds on the Layer 2 solution Optimism, it has the potential to reduce maximal extractable value, a value known as MEV that can be lost due to miners manipulating the order of transactions through front-running and bidding wars. It has the potential to reduce MEV. Smart contracts need access to a competent, trustless gas price oracle to prevent being exposed to gas price manipulation for gas refunds. That's something that EIP 1559 takes care of, Drake explains. This has never happened before in the history of crypto or finance in general. It's incredibly exciting in that regard. The monetary policy, however, may be the most important of the three. When ETH is burned, it becomes more rare, resulting in a win-win situation for all holders. With enough network activity, the amount of ETH burned through transactions could exceed the amount distributed to validators via proof of stake. As Drake puts it, this would make ETH deflationary, or ultrasound. This has never happened before in the history of crypto or finance in general. It's extremely thrilling in that sense, Drake says. The amount of ETH burned is determined by the fee volumes. Ethereum has been chastised for its often astronomical gas prices, which can render the network unusable for many users during peak congestion periods. Nonetheless, thanks to the MEV fighting flashbots, activities like yield farming in DeFi have become more inexpensive in recent months. Some have speculated that EIP-1559 will not make a significant hole in the ETH supply due to the recent decline in gas fees. However, Drake claims that flashbots will have little effect on the fee burn mechanism. He explains that the transaction fee has two parts, one that pays for transaction inclusion in a block and another that pays for transaction sorting within a block. Fee burn is solely focused on transaction inclusion, whereas flashbots is mostly focused on transaction ordering. To prevent extraction, flashbots remove a portion of the MEV from the native fee market. Because flashbots aid in the isolation of the MEV, Drake believes the amount of the fee burned through EIP-1559 should be considerable. It's difficult to predict how high it will be. I predict it to be around 70%, but it might be as high as 80 to 90%, he says. The road to ultra-scalability for Ethereum. While MEV has become a huge issue in recent months, Ethereum's core difficulty remains scalability. Because Ethereum is clumsy and costly, systems like Binance Smart Chain and Polygon exploded early this year. Still, solutions are on the way. Layer 2 projects like Optimism and Arbitrum, which use optimistic rollups to perform transactions outside of the foundation chain, are among the most promising. When Serenity is finished, Ethereum will include 64 shard chains. Despite the fact that such solutions aim to lower transaction costs, Drake believes that a more scalable Ethereum will result in a greater fee burn rate. I expect total fee burn to climb as we scale, which is quite counterintuitive, he said. Total fee burn is calculated by multiplying the average base cost by the total number of transactions. Scaling improves the total number of transactions while lowering the per transaction fee burn. Although gas fees will be lower on a more scalable network, resulting in lesser fees burned, Drake claims that the concept of induced demand indicates that the network will begin processing more transactions, resulting in a higher ETH supply burn. He explains the theory as follows. Think of it like traffic on the highway. You have a congested road and say, "Oh, we'll make the roads broader." You widen the roads, but they get congested again after a few months. Because boosting supply also increases demand, you haven't solved the traffic problem. There's a phenomenon known as latent or induced demand. To put it another way, once scaling makes Ethereum more affordable, it should attract more users. This will encourage more apps to develop on the network, much like supermarkets might choose to expand on a busier route. As a result of supply shocks, scalability bumps typically generate short-term drops in total fee burn, he explains. The historical trend is for charge volume to greatly exceed the initial fee volume when the additional supply is used. This historical tendency, which I believe will continue, will be tremendously bullish. The transactional usefulness of Ethereum is so great that I don't think scalability upgrades will be enough to meet demand anytime soon. Drake has established his own thesis on the blockchain's future, based on Ethereum's multiple forthcoming improvements, hyperscalability. While Layer 2, sharding, and gas improvements across protocols will be critical to growing the network, Nielsen's law, The discovery that internet bandwidth increases at a rate of around 50% annually is one of the most essential elements, he argues. There are 4 key barriers to look at when scaling decentralized computation, he argues. There's raw CPU compute, storage, disk I/O, and bandwidth, says the author. We can cope with the first 3 using advanced techniques like snarks and statelessness, but bandwidth is a major obstacle. Fortunately, bandwidth is the one resource that continues to rise by 50% every year. According to Drake, fiber optic technology has the potential to help Ethereum achieve 10 million transactions per second by increasing processing bandwidth. A single strand of fiber currently processes roughly 1 gigabit per second, but as technology advances, that same strand might transfer up to 100 terabits per second. Is ETH a form of currency? Drake's vision for an ultra-scalable Ethereum is likely a decade or 2 away, which might be the time it takes for EIP-1559 to make a significant hole in the circulating quantity of Ethereum. Though exact figures are difficult to forecast, estimates suggest that Ethereum might burn about 1 million ETH every year, bringing the total supply to 100 million in 20 years. This represents a 15% decline in supply compared to today's levels. When you have an asset that can go up 1,000% in a year, 15% isn't that much, Drake says, but it's tremendously powerful from a story standpoint. It distinguishes ETH and emphasizes its inherent Schelling point as the currency for the Internet of Value. Because Bitcoin will continue to inflate for the next century, the supply of ETH will peak 100 years before Bitcoin. Another amusing story is that ETH does not have a supply floor. Bitcoin's supply is limited to 21 million units, which is why it's dubbed digital gold. Miners earn block rewards and transaction fees in BTC for adding new blocks to the chain in the current version of Bitcoin. However, supply will eventually cease, and Bitcoin's network will be safeguarded only by transaction fees. This, according to Drake, was one of Satoshi's mistakes. They understandably didn't have the foresight to recognize that Bitcoin could suffer security difficulties decades down the road. We can have our cake and eat it too with ETH. While Bitcoin's blockchain may encounter problems in the future, the commodity has shown to be a reliable store of value. Bitcoin can be thought of as money because it is divisible, durable, fungible, transmittable, and has its own monetary premium, just like gold. Meanwhile, Ethereum is attempting to embrace what Drake refers to as sci-fi economics. EIP-1559 is an important aspect of this since it has the potential to make ETH the first deflationary cryptocurrency. He goes on to say that because ETH is the collateral asset for DeFi, it may be looked at as money. However, it is also utilized as a medium of exchange. If you want to buy an NFT or pay for gas, you must first have ETH. Bitcoin's transactional utility is payments, but I don't see Bitcoin as a currency gaining much headway in that area. We can have our cake and eat it too, with ETH, he says. We can have the non-transactional utility of ETH as a collateral asset in line with the Bitcoin store of value philosophy, and we can have all of the transactional utility plus a method to capture some of the transactional value via fee burn at the same time. The technology that underpins blockchains like Ethereum makes them valuable. That's what gives you decentralization, trustlessness, permissionlessness, and all of Drake's sci-fi nonsense. The community is the other critical layer, if you will call it that. Ethereum, like Bitcoin, has a sizable fan base, yet no crypto project has come close to matching the two top platforms in terms of popularity and cultural relevance. Drake has been discussing the Layer 0 memes and storylines that have aided Ethereum's growth in recent months, but he emphasizes that they are only one part of the tale, along with the technology layer. He goes on to say, I believe that people underestimate Ethereum's utility potential. People have this idea that Ethereum is a pricey toy that doesn't scale well. That may be accurate now, but in 10 to 20 years, it will be entirely wrong. I imagine Ethereum's scaling story will be analogous to the evolution of the internet from dial-up modems to ultra-fast fiber, 5G, and Starlink. The World Wide Web, e-commerce, to renting, video streaming, social networking, cell phones, and the first kind of internet money all came into being after the internet was officially opened in 1983. Ethereum, if Drake is correct, might have a similarly crazy few decades ahead of it. We hope you enjoyed watching and listening to this video. Please let us know your opinion in the comments area below. If you found our content useful, please like it and share it with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell for more crypto-related contents.